Okay, so first thing we want to do is get rid of everything that's in the scene by default. So press A, that's like everything that's in the screen, and press X and delete. And we want to bring in some reference images. So if you press the key that is above the tab key on your keyboard, you get this option here. So I'm going to come to the front, and then Shift A is your way of bringing anything into Blender by adding stuff. So I'm going to go down to Image and Reference, and then find your reference images. So I've got my reference images here. So I'm going to take, let's get the front here. Now at the minute it brings it in quite large. So if I go Shift A and add a cube, that cube by default, I press N. You can see here it's 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters, which is way too big, and it might not seem like it, but once, if you don't have the right scale, it'll start to mess everything up when it comes to textures and lighting later. So you can change this. So by default, most chairs are roughly, we come along here, something like 82 centimeters ish tall. So what I'm going to do is type 82 and do centimeters. So that's the height that we want. So if I grab this reference image now, I can hit S to scale. Now I can't see through this cube, so I go to Shift Z and I can turn that into X-ray. Scale until I'm happy that that's roughly the right sort of height. I'm going to do the same for the side view, so Shift A, reference, and let's grab the side view. Scale that down as well. Now I can't see through the images, so what we can do, if I just move this so you can see, is if you go to the data panel, this icon here will let you go to opacity, and you can bring that down so you can see a bit, as you can see through it slightly. And then we're going to scale this one down, make it the same height, something like that. I'm going to get rid of that cube. I'm going to take this one, hit R to rotate, and Z and 90. So I'm going to rotate it perfectly 90 degrees. G to grab, X to just move it all the way to the side. Same this one, G to grab, and Y to move it all the way back as well. I'm also going to make this slightly opaque so that we can see through it a little bit as well. So we've got our reference images set up. Give this a save to make sure that nothing happens. Okay, and then what we're going to do is start with the cube. So Shift A to bring back the cube. Come to the front. Now we're still in X-ray mode, so you can get out of that by Shift Z, in and out of X-ray mode, or it's up here as well. So solid mode, X-ray mode, material preview, and render mode, but we'll go on to those in a little bit. So X-ray mode, S to scale, bring that down. Tab will let you go into edit mode, and you've got three things. You've got vertices, which are these little dots. You've got edges, which are these lines, and then you've got the faces, which are the big surfaces. And you can get out of those by clicking on these three icons up here, or it's 1, 2, and 3 on your keyboard. So I'm going to go to 1 to go to vertex mode, and when you select them and grab, make sure you box select, because if I just do a single select and select that one, I don't select the one behind it, like that. So you see I've not selected the other one. And you've also, when you're doing that, make sure that you are in X-ray mode so that it will still select it, because it won't do it if you're not in X-ray mode. So I'm going to go to X-ray mode, select that top band, G to grab, Z to bring up. And then what we're going to do is let's bring this into position, something like this. Bring this into position. G, and then let's bring that over. Something like that. So we've got a basic sort of outline of where our chair is going to go. What we want to do is let's round off the back of this chair. So I'm going to go to edge mode, grab these. Before we do that, let's add in this leg here. Now we need some more geometry to deal with. So to do that, I can go Control R to add what's called an edge loop. If I click and drag like that, it will let me add it where it is. Now because we've already like got a slight angle for this top piece, it automatically already, if you see if I starts to match that angle, and if I come further down, it starts to straighten out. I'm just going to click to there, but we can straighten it out by going SZ0, and it'll straighten out for us. GZ to bring it up into position. And obviously that's messed up our outline a little bit, so I'm going to select that and click GG, so G twice, and then just drag that into position like that. And then what I'm going to do is Control R again and drag, bring that across as well, so we've got where that leg is going to go, like that. Now we're going to grab these two back edges, so edge mode by pressing 2 or clicking up here. Now I'm going to select both of them, so if I click Alt and click on that edge, it'll select both of those. Hold down Shift and Alt, so I can select multiple. Control B to bevel, open up the bevel tab that appears. I'm going to take the width all the way so it starts to almost overlap itself. So one it will do. And then what we're going to do is add a few segments to round it off slightly. Something like that. Now the problem we're going to have is that because right where it meets, they're going to overlap slightly, so we can sort that out. So I'm going to click off, go to X-ray mode, 1 to go into vertex mode. I'm going to box select all of these, and this is where the overlapping ones are going to be. Press M for the merge and go by distance. And you see down here it says removed 3 vertices, so 1, 2, 3. So basically there were 6 overlapping, and it's just merged them into their own ones. So that's starting to resemble roughly the shape of our chair. I'm then going to grab this edge here, into X-ray mode so we can see what's going on. Control B to bevel. We don't want that many, but we'll do something like that. And again here we're going to have some overlapping vertices, so what we can do is once again go to edit mode, go to vertex, box select, merge by distance, so those are now overlapped as well. So now what we're going to start to do is delete some of the faces we don't want. So I'm going to press 3 to go to face mode. I'll come up here, select these faces here, X and delete faces, and then I also don't want these faces here, X and delete face. You see we've now got what's starting to resemble the outline of our chair. I then need to just make sure that it's going to be the right width. So I'm going to take this reference image, G, let's move this over, G, Y, bring this into position. I'm going to do S to scale, Y, and bring that in so I get the right sort of thickness, something like that. So we want this to have some thickness to it because then it's like paper thin. So we can add that with a modifier. So on the data panel on the right hand side, click on the spanner, which is your modifiers, add a modifier under generate, and you've got Thinnify. Now I'm going to drag, and you see it starts to make it thicker. For now, it doesn't really matter what sort of thickness, just to give it a little bit of thickness, something like that. And I'm going to click on apply. Now, if you are in edit mode, you won't be able to click on apply. So just beware, like that. And then what we're going to do is bevel this edge here. I want to keep an eye on the fact that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 edges there. So let's Control B. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 there as well. So let's just come run off how we need it. So something like that actually is pretty good, like that. Go to 1, go to vertex mode, and just grab these X and dissolve vertices. Not delete, sorry, dissolve. And the same here, X and dissolve vertices. Now with Blender and most 3D modeling softwares, generally you want to work on what's called quad, so four-sided shapes. So if you see like along here, everything's 1, 2, 3, 4, like all of these. Because we just had all these vertices, these all count as edges. So this is now what's called an engon. So there's loads and loads of extra vertices we don't want, but we can tidy that up quite easily, which is why I made sure we had the same amount of edges here as here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll have to add another one in. In fact, we can probably get rid of this one. So let's go X. So edge like that. So I want to go to vertex mode. I select that vertices and then this vertices. Hold down Shift and I can press J to join. And you can see we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's now a four-sided shape. We can do the same, working our way around. Like that. So you can see they're all now what you'd say quads. So I'm now going to get rid. I'm going to go to 3. Hold on Alt and click on the edge here to grab all those edges. X and delete faces. And we don't want the inside either, so I'm going to select one of these. Control L to select similar. X and delete faces as well. So I've got this, and we also want to only delete half as well. So let's come to the front. Oh, sorry, the left. Shift Z to go into X-ray mode. Box select. Let's delete this side as well because this is right. We're going to come back to the front, and what we want to do is extrude along here. So what we'll do is let's grab this edge here, E to extrude, and bring it down, S to scale it down a little bit, something like that. Now we want our legs to be flat, otherwise it would be a pretty useless chair. So we have this edge selected. Hold on Shift and select that edge. If you press S to scale and press Z to do it in the Z axis and go 0, it then scales those flat so that they're now both equal. We are again going to solidify. Again, it doesn't really matter how thick at the minute. And we're going to apply it again, because then what we want to do is bevel this edge and this edge together. Not edge, that edge there. I'm going to go to Control B to bevel, drag that like that, and we see because we're doing them both at the same time, we're guaranteed that they'll match like that. I'm going to get rid again of all these vertices we don't want. Now go to dissolve vertices. And then we're going to join these up again. So we're going to select that one, hold on Shift, select that one, hit J, just working your way around, making sure that it's always going to be in what's called quads, like that. And then we need to add in an extra one, so we can do that by going to the front, press K for knife, and we can select this vertices, come up like that. I'll do the same here as well. Grab this one and just come up like that. So again, you can see now that they are all quads. Again, we're going to get rid of all the faces here we don't want. Delete faces. Let's select all of those faces. So we've now got perfect half of our chair. We're going to mirror that across. Now we've moved our chair. So what we're going to do is move where the origin is. So we're going to tap to go to edit mode. 2 to go to edge. I'm going to select this edge, which is right in the middle. Shift S and go to cursor to select it. So the 3D cursor is now there. If I then right click, set origin to 3D cursor, and the origin is where the mirror is going to go. So we have to add modifier, generate, and mirror. And we can change the axes to Y like that. And you can see that our mirror has worked. So we're going to go apply. I'm actually going to S, Y, scale that out a little bit, a bit more thickness. Do it like that. And then the final thing we want to do is add one more solidify to make our chair a bit thicker. Something like that. And then we're going to go on apply. So we then want to smooth our chair around so everything is now in quads, and you can check everything is in quads. If you go to Control R, add an edge loop, and you see that it'll wrap all the way around, that means that everything is quads. So I'm going to go to 2, go Control Shift Alt and click on all these edges, and it will select all the edges that are linked to it for me, just making sure you're not missing any. Working your way around. Okay, and then you can Shift Z and you can see if you've missed any, so you can see we've missed a couple here. Okay, I think we're good. So what we're going to do is go Control B to bevel, change the segments to 2, give it a relatively small bevel like that. Add modifier, subdivision, right click and shade smooth, move. There we have the base part of our chair. So just checking I'm not accidentally, sometimes you can accidentally miss a bevel. So I am actually going to apply that subdivision, and you can see now it's added a few more edge loops, more geometry for me, like that. So what we're going to do is do our supporting beams where the actual base for the seat is going to go. Let's come to the front, Shift Z, first of all to X-ray, Shift A to add, and let's add a cube, S to scale it, bring this into position, tab to go into mode, box select when you're in vertex mode, G, and bring it into position. Want this to be flat, so S, Z, 0. Let's grab this face, G, Y, drag it through, check that it's going okay, and then what we're going to do is delete that face because you're not going to see it, so it doesn't matter. G, Y, grab that one, G, Y, drag it across. Again, I'm going to delete that face. Like that. I'm actually going to take this and duplicate it by going Shift D, X, and drag it back. Let's bring that back a bit more. And change the shape to match the back legs. G and Y. And I can just grab this. Okay, we can move that over a second. G and Y. Okay, so we've got some clipping on the edges on here. So that's come to the left. Rather. Wrong one, there we are. Yep, something like that. We then want to smooth those out as well. So let's select both of those, press / to isolate them. Press tab to go to mode. A to select all of those edges. Control B to bevel. Keep it at 2 segments. And I'll just make it a bit wider to round it all off. And then what we'll do is add a subdivision again and shade smooth like that. And apply. And do the same here as well. So tab 3. Excuse me. Sorry, 2 to go to edge mode. A to select all. Control B to bevel. Like that. And then we're going to add a subdivision and shade smooth. And then apply. / brings you out of isolation mode again. So now we've got those supports. So we then just need the actual base bit you sit on. So let's come to the top. Let's go Shift A, Mesh and Cube. Scale this smaller. Make sure it's not too tall. Tab to edit mode. Grab the vertices G and Z and bring down. Something like that. Now we want to round off the back of these, so 2 to go to edge mode. Grab these 2 bits at the back, Control B to bevel, drag that back a little bit, add a few more segments, and then I'm going to come back into isolation mode in a second, so let's just bring that back a little bit, something like that. So I'm going to select that, press / to go to isolation mode. And before we talk about quads, and you can see here we've got a shape with loads more than 4 sides, which we don't want. So I'm going to grab, so we can either join them up ourselves, or sometimes what you can do, go to face mode, select that face and delete it. Go to edge mode, and then Alt and click on the edge to select that whole edge. Go to face, grid fill, and it'll do it for you. And then you can play around with the best way to do that. This is probably going to be that option. And then what I'm going to do is delete all the other faces. Like that. Select that face, E to extrude and bring down. Like that. And then we're going to grab all the vertices, or all the edges, sorry. Like that. Control B to bevel, change that back down to 2 again. To round that off. Add our subdivision. Oh, we forgot to bevel that corner clearly. Grab that, Control B. Generate subdivision. It's smooth. So you see we've now got that. Just check we're happy with the amount of bevel we've got. / to unisolate. So we've then got the basic shape of our chair. So what we want to do is let's add a pillow to go on it. So what we'll do is go to Shift A, Mesh, and let's add a plane. Make it a little bit smaller, something roughly that sort of size. GZ. So for this to work, we need to have quite a few more subdivisions on it. So I'm going to grab the face, right click, subdivide, and put that up. Something like, yeah, let's do 10 and see how it looks. I'm going to select it, A, E to extrude it up a little bit. And we want an edge loop going around the middle. So go to Control R, click on the side here, click, and then you want to be right in the middle, just right click like that, hit S to scale, and drag out. So what we want to do is add a cloth simulation to it. So we're going to select it, come to the physics tab, which is here. I'm going to go to cloth, scroll down to pressure, anything between 5 and 10 will do the job, but let's go somewhere in the middle, like 7 to begin with. Press play, and what's going to happen is it's going to fall because we've got gravity turned on. If you look, it'll just keep falling forever. So let's bring that all the way back. So you need to go to the world tab, or scene tab, sorry, up to gravity. Press play, and you've then got your pillow. Do subdivision, shade smooth. So what I probably need to do here is probably have a little bit more. So let's delete this one. I'm going to redo it. Shift A, mesh, and plane. GZ to bring up. Tab, right click, subdivide. Let's do like 15. A, E, extrude. Control R. Drag that out like that. So same again. Physics, cloth, turn on pressure. Let's do something like 10, see what happens. There you go, that's got a better result. So you can shade smooth, see what's going on. So before you can do anything into the editing light, you need to right click and convert to mesh. I'm also going to subdivide it like that. And then you can scale it down. So let's come to the top. I'll scale this down so it's big enough to fit on my chair. Now we've got some folds in there, which are good, but what you can do as well is come over to the sculpting tab with that selected. And sometimes what I like to use the crease brush and just click and drag and just use that just to emphasize the creases a little bit. Just depends on how well your simulation has gone, how much detail you want to put into your pillow. Just something like that. Bring that down. Rotate it. Bring it into position. It's a bit smaller. Something like that. I'm going to give this a save. And I'm going to just hide. I've got a bit more clip in there, so let's see if we can move that over a bit. There you go. So we're going to texture it and then we'll build our little scene that goes along with it. So let's give this a save. So to texture everything, I use Blender Kit. So click on materials. I also make sure I go to texture based. Let's have a look at some woods. Let's go with something. Let's try that. Now at the minute we can't see anything because we're not on material preview. So click on this button here. You see what's going on. Now at the minute our grade's the wrong way around. We do need to unwrap our material. So there's two ways you can do it. So you can do it the quick and easy way, which is you go tab to edit mode, 3D on face, A to select it, U, and cube projection like that. And what you need to make sure you do is come along to the not shade editor, sorry, the UV editor, select it all. And what you might need to do is rotate that around so you get the direction of the grain going a different way, like that. The other way you can do it, which takes a little bit more work, it's not a lot of work, but it is worth doing a lot of the time, so you got more control over it, is select the edges you want to set as your seam. So go to 2 to go to edge mode, then Alt and select along there. I'm going to do the same along there as well. Like that. You right click and mark seam, so you see that's where it's going to fold away or fold over your material around your chair. Mark seam. Like that. So now what you can do, rather than cube projection, which to be honest with you, cube projection works most of the time anyway for what we do. So I select everything. If I go to U and go to project from view, it shows your chair here. Then I can U and go to unwrap, and it will unfold your chair like that. So you've got a bit more control over how it all goes. Now I probably need to actually mark a few more seams. Oh no, I think we're probably okay. Yeah. Which means what I could do, for example, is say if I want to grab this part of my chair and rotate it around, I've got more control over this particular piece. So it's just moved that piece, which actually was the right way around, so we're going to leave it where it is. Like that. So those are the two ways you can go about unwrapping everything. So I'm not entirely sure I'm happy with that wood. Let's go with something a bit different. Let's try that one, looks a bit more like it. Okay, so once you're happy with your material as well, you can select all the other ones you want to be the same material, then select the one with the material you like. Control L to link materials. Now this is where I need to unwrap because we're getting some weird results on here. So I'm going to / to isolate it. And then I'm going to grab all the edges around. Right click, mark seam. So if I select that, U, I'm going to project from view, U, unwrap. So you see it lays it all out nicely for you, like that. Again, for a lot of these, to be honest with you, cube projection would work. And because these, if you have a look at it without the material on, we've got rid of the front, the little edge bit, so we just need one edge. So I can just grab one edge along there, mark seam, do the same there, tab, and literally just grab one seam on there, right click, mark seam, So now exactly the same thing. I can project from view, A, U, and wrap. And that's probably going the wrong direction. So what I can do is A, I'll rotate around, bring that into position. That's now facing the right direction. The same here. Project from view. And again, facing the wrong direction. So we can grab that and rotate it around. Like that. So that's how to apply the materials and wrap everything as you want it. So we want to have just a fabric on that. It's got like a grey fabric type thing. Let's just bring something like that. Let's see. That's more blue than grey, I'd say. Let's have a look, see if there's anything else. Okay, I'm going to have to shade editor because we can always change the colours ourselves. So, printable BSD, I can just follow where the base colour goes, which goes into this image here. So to change the colour of that, I do Shift A, and just type in colour and grab colour ramp. And then we can start to bring that up until we're happy with the sort of grey-ish colour that we're going to get. Something like that. I'm going to close that area. Give this a save. So we've got our chair. We are just going to build a little scene for that. So let's Shift A, mesh, add a plane, GZ to bring it down, scale it up a little bit, and just make sure that we're making our chair touch the floor, because you don't want any weird sort of results like that. I'll take this, Shift D, rotate it Y 90, G X, and just bring it up, something like that. Grab our chair, bring it over, rotate a bit, and go Shift D to duplicate it. So we've got a couple of copies of it. Something like that. Let's bring this out a bit more. Something like that. Let's add a wood to the floor, and normally I've got one that I tend to go with, which is this one here. And for this case, we are just going to project it. Something like that. And then let's grab wool material. This one normally looks pretty good. I'm going to scale that down quite a bit. So let's drag this over, make our shader editor. On the side, make our UV editor. Grab that, scale that quite a bit. Something like that. Probably don't do the same. We want to grab a different wood for the floor. There you go, that's probably more like it. I'll close this for a second. We'll rotate that around a bit more. I'll grab or make a window, so Shift A, mesh, and a plane. RX90. Come to the front. Auto vertex mode and G bring up. GX to bring it across. GY to drag back. Tap to edit mode, figure space, and we're going to subdivide that a couple of times. Something like that. A, select all, I to inset, and then let's do individual. I'm going to bring that smaller a little bit. X and delete faces. A to grab it all. E to extrude it back a little bit. X to delete those faces there. I'm going to have like a fancy looking window coming through. Let's go for like a painted metal. Something like that. Now we want to have something that looks like it's coming, like looking out a window. So what you can do is add an image as a mesh plane, and then you can get an image of like a garden or something. So I've got a few that I tend to go with. So for that, I tend to use a website called Unsplash, which is free. Well, there are paid versions of images you can get on there, but I use the free version. You get some really good quality images you can use. So if I take something like this, rotate that round, G to bring it back, S to make it bigger. So it'll just look like it's coming out the window a little bit. Now we do want to have like a glass inside of there, so let's go mesh plane. Alright, it's 90. Come to the top, bring that in the middle of our metal frame. Bring that up. Bring that across. Like that. Now obviously we want to make sure we've got transparent material on there. Let's grab something like this. Now you won't actually see through it until you start actually rendering. Let's give this a save. I'm going to do a little coffee table. So let's do Shift A, mesh, and add cube. S, X, make it a bit smaller. Z. So what I'm going to do is let's grab something like this. So this I'm not putting a huge amount of thought into. Let's parallel transforms and then do that. There you go. It's more like it. So then what I can do is let's grab isolate that first. Let's grab all these edges. Do Shift D, so you can see I've got those edges there, but I need to get rid of this edge here. Shift D, P, separate by selection. I can just delete that because I've now got this. I'm going to right click, convert to curve, and then the curve on the data panel, I can come to geometry, give this a little bit of thickness. I can then add subdivision. I can shade smooth, isolate, GZ, bring that down. So I've got like legs for a tabletop over a cover table. Let's add like a metal material to it. Oh, the wrong thing there. So that's that one needs to go back to our light wood that we had. Which one was it? There you go, that's the one. I should rotate that wood round again. Let's just leave that open. Okay, so we need a tabletop. So Shift A, Mesh, Cube. Bring that into position. G, Y, X, just to sort of play around with the size a little bit. Okay, so we've got a top. I'll just apply all transforms. So what we're going to do is let's grab all these bottom, but again, / to isolate, because it's easier. Grab those, Control B to bevel, but then we can play around with the shape a little bit. So we can get some fancy looking effects. Something like that. And then let's just grab the 4 corners. Control B, change the size of shape to 0.5 so it's perfectly in the middle. And then let's add a subdivision surface. Okay, before we do that, let's grab top and bottom. These ones, Control B. About 3, something like that. There you go, just got a little bit more of an interesting shaped copy table. Let's grab another wood. And let's try that one we used before that we didn't like. Yeah, looks okay. Then we'll rotate that around. There you go. Might be a little bit too. Let's apply that first of all. little bit too thick, so let's S scale. GZ to bring it up a little bit. Something like that. Okay. So now let's just look at adding a little bit of lighting. So I'm going to Shift A. I'm going to add a light. Let's do an area light. Come to the top. I'm going to have this come from outside of my window here. G, Z. Rotate it around a little bit. Okay. So what we're going to do is come to a render view. I'm going to change this to cycles. Change that to GPU. I'm going to do really small samples to begin with. So with this light, I'll make sure I go to use nodes, change it to the shader editor. And what I'm going to do, Shift A, and image texture. And then I've got some gobos I'm going to add in. And we've got a window frame, so really what we just need is probably just like that. Let's change this to 0. Maybe a bit more than that. Okay. So let's a couple of things. At the top, I want them to block the light from coming up there. So let's Shift A mesh plane or Y90. Calculator mode. GZ. This is just going to block the light from coming across where I don't want it to. Okay. Up the power of that a little bit. Now I want to have a bit more control about where those shadows are coming from. So I'm going to plug that in. Shift W, add texture setup. So here I should be able to there you go, something like that. I'm also going to select this image, which is going to be my garden. Open up the emission section and plug the colour into there and give that a little bit of power as well. Maybe not that much. And then let's add Shift A, add a light, add another area light. GZ, I'm going to bring just up a little bit. See how it's looking. Okay, it's not bad. let's just play around. Let's add a camera, Shift A, camera. I'm going to line up camera view. I guess that's what we're currently seeing. Okay, let's change the color. Okay. Let's have a little look. Okay, I'm not particularly happy with. Let's drag this over. This. That looks more like it. Okay. Tonight it's literally just little tweaks just until you're happy. Let's scale it down a little bit. There, yeah, that looks more like it. I'm going to give this a save. So obviously you'd add things like stuff on the table and that sort of thing, quite a common type of thing to add. So the only other thing really is to start adding in like surface imperfections, I think. Let's turn off denoise so crash the computer. I'm going to go to view area and close that area. So to add surface imperfections, I've got another called one click age. So let's play around with that a second. Okay, that's a bit too much. Let's bring it down a little bit. Okay, that's better. Let's do the same on this. Okay. That table's not touching the floor. I think we need to add another subdivision to this. Convert to mesh. There we go. Okay. Just don't think there's anything else worth playing around with. There you go. Right. Let's stop there, otherwise we'll get really carried away. So, hopefully you've enjoyed following along. If you've got any questions, leave a comment down below. Or email me design with Simon at outlook.com.